I worked with Dr. Amy Marcarelli and Timothy Viverica in the aquatic biology lab, and we wanted to know the effects of nitrogen and phosphorus on the phytoplankton growth in Portage Lake. And so with our, what we ended up doing is we collected water at the bottom of Portage Lake at the very tip at Chassis City Park. And so what we wanted to do is, since if you don't know what a limiting nutrient is, it's when an organism needs a certain amount of nutrients in order to grow and reproduce. And so when some nutrients are in low concentrations that compared to the level that the organism needs, then it's considered limiting because it's affecting the growth of it. And so for aquatic ecosystems, nitrogen and phosphorus are the main two nutrients that affect the phytoplankton growth. And so we wanted to know specifically how they affect the phytoplankton growth in Portage Lake. And so once we collected the water at the collection site at Chassis City Park, we filtered the water into 1 liter flasks, and through what's already been experimentally determined, like the general ratios that the phytoplankton need between of nitrogen and phosphorus, from those we determined the concentrations that we wanted to add of the nitrogen and phosphorus into the flasks. And once we did that, once we spiked them with the nutrient additions, we added, we placed them in a cooler for 5 days in order to incubate and in order for the phytoplankton to grow. And after the 5 days, we removed the flasks and we collected the phytoplankton on filters, and we froze them into a chlorophyll analysis. And the reason that we did the chlorophyll analysis is because since phytoplankton are photosynthesizing organisms, the amount of chlorophyll in our samples is going to be directly correlated to the amount of phytoplankton. And so once we did the chlorophyll analysis, the filtered water that we had, we also collected that to do nitrogen and phosphorus analyses. And from there, once we had all of our data, we were able to collect, we were able to get the mean chlorophyll A concentrations. And from those, we also used p-values to determine the significance of the effect of the nutrients on the phytoplankton. And from those, we were able to determine that phosphorus with the p-value 0.001 is the only nutrient that is limiting to the phytoplankton within this specific spot in Portage Lake. And so from there, we can determine, like, if necessary, if we want to change the levels of phytoplankton, we can use phosphorus supply in order to potentially use like bottom-up effects of changing the levels of phytoplankton and then going up from there, because obviously once you change one level within an organism, the whole food chain is going to be affected. And so to basically wrap things up, in order, if we want to completely understand the nutrient, the phosphorus and nitrogen limitation on Portage Lake, we'd want to perform in situ mesocosm experiments within the water, within the lake, to completely understand it, because we want to get, we want to assess the spatial and seasonal differences of the nutrient limitation on the phytoplankton.